A ceasefire between Israel and Islamic Jihad militants has held through the night in Gaza. It follows 3 days of violence, which left more than 40 people dead and hundreds in hospital. In a statement, US President Joe Biden praised the truce and called on all parties to fully implement the terms and to ensure humanitarian supplies flow into Gaza.
Palestinians took to the streets of Gaza to celebrate the Egyptian brokered truce moments after it went into effect.
We hope that we will not have wars. We are a people and we have the right to live our lives in Gaza. We do not want wars every 2 years or every 2 days.
A flurry of airstrikes and rocket attacks traded in the minutes leading up to the ceasefire, which went into effect at 11:30 p.m. local time. News of the deal was greeted with relief at this mall in southern Israel.
I hope it will last and that we'll live a bit more quietly.
The ceasefire aims to end the worst fighting in the region in more than a year. Authorities in Gaza say more than 40 people, including children, have been killed since Israel began its offensive on Friday. Hundreds more were injured and many buildings reduced to rubble. Israel has called it a preemptive operation against anticipated Islamic Jihad attacks. 2 of the group's most senior leaders in Gaza were killed in the strikes. Islamic Jihad lobbed a barrage of rockets towards southern Israel in response. The group's leader spoke to reporters from Tehran after the truce went into effect.
The enemy wanted to break Islamic Jihad, but we did not break. On the contrary, the Islamic Jihad movement is still strong and stable, and even more powerful. The achievement is clear.
He said Egypt would also work to secure the release of Islamic Jihad leaders being held by Israel.
Our correspondent Tanya Kramer is standing by in Jerusalem. Tanya, is that ceasefire actually holding?
Well, yes, the ceasefire agreed last night between Israel and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad appears to be holding this morning. It went into effect at 11:30 local time. There had been some rockets being fired afterwards, but since the night has been quiet, it was mediated mainly by Egypt, Qatar and other key players here in the region. Now in the morning here, we're hearing from the Israeli Home Front Command. They're saying they are gradually, easing the restrictions on people living in the south of Israel that were under heavy rocket fire in the past days. That they still need to stay near shelters, but that might be eased, in the morning hours. Of course, we also heard from a statement last night from the Israeli Prime Minister that if there's any violation of the ceasefire, Israel would respond strongly. We heard similar words from Islamic Jihad, said that if the commitments made in this agreement, they would also respond with rocket fire. Now, the problem here is we don't know exactly all the details of this agreement mediated by Egypt, which will still continue to mediate, as we understand, in the coming days. There was a statement in the official Egyptian news agency saying that Egypt committed to work on releasing 2 Islamic Jihad militants that are currently imprisoned in Israel. That was one of the key demands by Islamic Jihad. But I think also the focus is now, of course, on Gaza, because people were asking whether Israel will ease further the closure, if there's anything like that coming up, and of course if the crossings will be opened as before this escalation, because there's a need to let in fuel and goods from there. The power plant there stopped on Saturday, reducing electricity in the strip, and of course there's a lot of humanitarian aid needed at the moment.
Tanya, Israel says it's taken out the military leadership of the Islamic Jihad group in Gaza. How weakened are the militants?
Well, I mean, this is at least what Israel says, or the Israeli government. We heard again Prime Minister Yair Lapid Sunday night, just before the ceasefire went into effect, talking to mayors in the south of Israel, saying that Israel achieved its goals. And many we heard also other officials talking about in the last 48 hours that by killing those two senior militant commanders from the Islamic Jihad, that they think they have restored deterrence, that they have weakened the organization just by sending the message that they have the intelligence to get to these people. They're not, working in the open. And also a message, of course, to the Israeli public. But of course, also, we've seen that time and time and again, and analysts agree here that, of course, those people will eventually be replaced. And in the absence of any political solution, another conflict might be just around the corner.
Tanya Kramer for us. Thank you very much for bringing us that update.